Thank you, Florida State Legislatures, for this public health policy hearing today. I'm Thomas Jaquish, and I represent the Office of Patient Care Services within the Department of Veterans Affairs. The Office of Patient Care Services is an organization that brings public health approach to protecting the health of veterans. One of our four pillars that upholds our ideas, initiatives, services, and programs is that of the epidemiology and studying the root causes and effects of natural and man-made environments. One of the programs within the patient care services is to recommend policy. Today, I am here to present you with the findings of our research for Agent Orange and how it is used in the military during the Vietnam War throughout the 1960s and 70s, and how it has affected mass amounts of veterans today. The policy we would like to have considered is for veterans to receive injury-related care and services for any symptoms developed while being contaminated with Agent Orange while on deployment, and how to adjust previous policies that unfairly disperse disability compensation from this contaminant. From 1962 to 1971, the U.S. military sprayed herbicides over Vietnam to strip the thick jungle canopy that could conceal opposition forces, to destroy crops that those forces might depend on, to clear tall grasses and bushes from perimeters of U.S. bases and outlying fire support bases. The health issue directly affects the men and women who served our country while being enlisted in the military and deployed to Vietnam and the surrounding areas. The impact of this health issue on the military community has been devastating, expansive, and research clearly shows the direct link and correlation to significant health concerns for the men and women exposed to this toxic chemical during the time of its use. Health issues such as soft tissue, sarcoma, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and chronic lymphocytic leukemia, all cancer-related illnesses, have sufficient evidence of association with exposure to this toxic chemical. Prostate, bladder, and lung cancer have also been associated with Agent Orange exposure. Cancer can be a very deadly disease with a high mortality rate that can include years of suffering beforehand. Acting in response to widely held concerns of service members and veterans, Congress passed the Agent Orange Act of 1991 to address whether exposure to herbicides used in Vietnam by the U.S. military could be associated with adverse health effects for veterans. Previous legislation has directed the Secretary of Veterans Affairs to request the National Academies to perform a comprehensive series of evaluations of scientific and medical information regarding the possible health effects of exposure to Agent Orange. The most recent reviews of the epidemiologic studies of veterans was conducted in 2014, and conclusive results found that previous listed health conditions. Those health conditions in our veterans clearly dictate that they must be addressed. We at Patient Care Services have a serious question about the fairness and soundness of the 1991 Agent Orange Act, which has been the basis of disability compensation policy for 2 decades for the Vietnam War veterans with Agent Orange related health conditions. Today, I am here to recommend a policy that gives veterans 100% medical rating and service connection associated with Agent Orange contamination, and therefore they be covered fully for all medical related issues and receive the maximum compensation available. Currently, the VA and government use a service-connected rating system that includes 10% increments. As you are aware, payment amounts are established by Congress, and a veteran's service connection are determined by VA disability rating specialists. We are asking for a 100% service connection rating for veterans and members of the military that were directly exposed to this toxic contaminant and have suffered exponentially with their health because of it. We understand that establishing direct service connection for an environmental exposure can be more challenging. However, VA regulations have established what is known as a reasonable doubt or benefit of the doubt doctrine. This means the VA adjudicates a veteran's direct service claim relative to an environmental or occupational exposure based on the merits of the individual's case, and grants the claim when his or her illness or injury is at least likely as not to have been caused by the exposure. This policy can readily be implemented, and that will help hundreds to thousands of individuals that are suffering because of this exposure. We ask for a commitment by Congress to move forward with providing Vietnam veterans appropriate compensation for possible herbicide-related health effects. Without this policy, Vietnam veterans would find it difficult or impossible to receive the appropriate compensation and medical care needed for them. Costs associated with this policy would add several $billions to the already overwhelmed VA budget, and we realize that Congress must focus on the related care and costs. However, this is an issue that must be addressed and added to the top of the priority list before the era of Vietnam veterans runs out, and that these men and women do not receive the care they desperately deserve in time. The risks of not enacting this policy far outweigh the additional costs and must be factored into the annual budget for these servicemen. The lives of the people affected by this policy will be saved, and the burden of providing proper medical care will no longer be their own, especially after contracting such serious and potentially life-threatening illnesses is the responsibility of the U.S. government and military. We ask that you please strongly consider this public health policy for the betterment of our Vietnam veterans. These men signed on the line to give their all, and now it's our time to do our part to fulfill our commitment and take care of them as promised. Thank you all, and God bless.